All right, we're live. Good morning, everyone. Good day. Welcome. Yeah, continuing on from Monday's stream, we have again this fucking scene. Just it's always again, it's always these sort of shots that take forever because there's so much to do with these kind of things. And one thing I realized as well when I was doing some stuff in my own time was the baby's eyes or the kid's eyes broken. They weren't working, so I had to fix them. So I'm gonna go. I might actually talk about how I actually built these eyes because I've had a few people ask about them. They're not grease pencil eyes anymore. They're actually meshes. And I have to fix up the other eye still. So I thought I'd go through and talk about that. Um, and for those who are here, thank you for joining again. Appreciate it. Um, and yeah, we'll get started. So the reason I found out or realized that these eyes were a bit fucked was because I've changed the way that the kid is looking around in this shot. Because for most of the animation, she's looking over the shoulder of Evie, and this is the sort of point where we need to see her face. This is where we need to see her actually do something. So I'm going to go ahead and fix up her face and allow me to animate it a little bit more better with a bit more subtlety without changing the rig. It's just fixing up a few things in the original file. And I'll talk about as well why it's important to use linked in files or referenced files or proxies as they're called in Blender. Just give me a second. Just gonna do something. The annoying thing about two-factor authorization, you gotta make sure that you've got, like, for some reason this doesn't want to work sometimes. So, all right, sweet. All right. So, this is why having proxied in files are so important, especially with rigs. Again, Blender's methods for doing this aren't the most well. They're more robust, but they aren't. And when I say robust, I mean stable. They don't seem to crash as much compared to Maya, but they are way less flexible than Maya's referencing system. That being said, let's open up the original file and talk about how I built the baby rig. So you can see here that a few things are going on. Firstly, the eyes aren't really eyes, and I will be probably changing this in the future. The eyes are just planes that look like eyes, that to make it look stylized, make it look 3D, not 3D, but 2D slash 3D. We're kind of faking them a little bit. The other cool thing about these eyes is that they're rigged with spline eye case, so they actually can be moved around any way you like. But you do encounter these issues with where if I'm squishing it too much, they start to overlap and things just go haywire, especially considering how I built the eye. So if you look at the way the eye is built for the pupils, is that they're also planes. As you can see here, we've got a lattice here as well that allows me to pin them on the face in certain directions. So yeah, pretty unique little way of doing things. But I discovered that if I remove geometry, like remove and make the actual eye geometry really bad, like basically it's a plane without any edges in the middle, it works a lot better for some reason with this setup. So bad geometry works in this case. So what I'm going to do, hey, how you doing? Thank you for the super chat again. Appreciate it. And good morning, of course. So what I'm going to do here is actually remove this geometry for the rig. So I'm actually going to get rid of all these edges. I know it's weird, but it works. So yeah, sorry, I'm going to select everything except for the outer part of this mesh. So Control Delete to have it just an empty plane. And for some reason, the eyes work now. They work a lot better. They don't, because the mesh isn't overlapping in itself. It's just the edges here that are being processed. And I noticed that if I now try to squish her eyes, much more reliable. There's only there's a limit to how far I can take it. Yes, in a way. There are limitations still. There are limitations still with this setup. If I push it too far, so it's almost like a vector file at this point. If I push it too far and go too far down, you start to see it still go, inside of itself. So you can see it there going inside of itself. But that's actually the eyelid or the pupil. But that's only because there's no geometry for it to be shrink wrapped to. So the way I've rigged them is pretty simple, actually. They're flat planes, and of course with the flat material. And using my spline IK method, or this one's just a basic spline IK. There's no rotations or anything in it at all. There's a spline here, spline IK, and then the controls drive the spline, which in turn drives the deform joints. That's it. When it comes to the way the eyes work here, or the pupils, it's literally just a parented joint with a few things. Yeah, no. Rigify and Auto Rig Pro are good for your general sort of rigs, but nothing like this. This stuff has to be kind of made manually. You kind of have to rig it manually. There's no shortcuts in this world when it comes to these sort of things. At the extremes for a more fully rigged eye, would you use shape keys? Yeah, I am tempted to use them in the future, actually. This one's actually really, really robust, the actual rig. I can actually really push this is the thing about spline IK, as it makes it really useful, is that they're just super, super robust. They can be shaped to anything. As you can see, there's no shape keys here, but I can go ahead and give it any shape I want. That's the power of the spline IK. And the more deformed joints I had, the more robust it would be. Even that's the power of extremes. This can do way more extreme poses than a shape key, so to speak. But you're not going to have the finesse or the sort of sculpted nature that you get from a. You won't be able to sculpt poses as nicely as a shape key. That's the trade-offs here. Yeah, I definitely will be doing that as a sort of one-off video in the future. I reckon, like doing stylized stuff. I'll probably doing a few bits of motion graphics style rigs as well. So rigs that aren't technically traditional, but get the job done. So that's good for that. Again, thank you for the super chat, Callie. Yeah, that's it. So you want to be able to have that flexibility. So like I can pull that right over here if I wanted to. I mean, if I had to do some sort of squash and stretch, or if I wanted to make it look like she's in a different perspective, like I can really pull these rigs around and change the way the eyes are in every single these spline IKs really come into play. So if you want to do smears for everything, for instance on the face, this is where this spline IK rig comes into play. Again, I'll probably do a combination of both in the future. So I'll still have a spline IK for the eyes. I think the coffee run shot looks pretty sick. I really like the simplicity of it. Really nice little animation, awesome action. Very simple story, which is just what you need for a short story if you want to do one on your own. But it's deceptively complicated as well in the way it's executed. I think it's really interesting to see how they went with that one. I'm interested in a new one as well. That one looks really cool too. Anyway, yeah, this eye looks to be fixed now. By the way that the pupil tracks the or stays put on the eye is with a shrink wrap, armature, a lattice, and then shrink wrap. Now the lattice, if you're wondering what the lattice does, is that it's just deforming the eye to sort of be in a spot where I want it to. So these lattices here help me sort of choose where the eyes will sit on the face without having to rig the eyes on an angle. They're actually rigged straight, and then I've used a lattice to pin them to the face. That's how that works. So so yeah. So yeah, that's it for the face. And this is the glory that is proxy. So if I save this file now, I've still got my file open here. Now at the moment, before I reload the file, the eye is still fucked over here. You can see the geometry there. But if I go ahead and reload this file, it's reloaded that rig in. It's reloaded it in. And if I now animate it, it's a lot better. It's still a little bit jittery here and there, but I can animate with this one a lot better. And all the other scenes that I've done in the past for this, this short, including the ones I've done in the previous videos, previous weeks, the eye will populate to those other files. So I'll have fixed up the eye on every single scene file that I've made in the entirety of my my short. So eventually, what I think I will do in the future is that I'll probably replace this entire face of Eevee with the new model that I made, potentially, if I have the time. And as long as the rig itself is identical in terms of how it works, in terms of how it, what I'm keyframing, and I bring that into this new file, all the animation will automatically be updated. The faces and stuff will be fixed up. There will be some tweaks for the model that I'll need to fix, but it depends on what kind of stylization I want. So if I was to do a stylized, character design, don't necessarily have to do it in this style. If you want to have that sort of fake 2D sort of feel to it, you could potentially go with this style or this method. But it really depends on what, I guess you could say, is your direction. That's also a really important thing to consider. The thing that I always find really useful to think about is that take inspiration from things. Yeah, it's the nature of the industry in Australia, I guess I could say. What I would say, if you're interested in doing something like this, is that it's very experimental, in the sense that if you want to do something like this, it's always going to be kind of on your own. Not to say that I won't teach this stuff in the future or do a demo of how it's built, but when you're discovering new things like this, you kind of have to take an experimental side to things. You kind of have to see things. Oh shit. You kind of have to take what you can learn from resources like this, and then just adapt it to your own circumstances. That's the really important thing about this sort of stuff, is that while your style or your idea might be similar, your execution might be different. So you'll need to sort of adapt accordingly. So I'm going to copy this keyframe across. Ah, thank you. I wouldn't say it's cutting edge. I'm sure there's like a lot of anime stuff really push like the boundaries of like go on Twitter and check out some of the anime rigs. They really push the concept of like, does good geometry matter? They really push it. Really do push it. Copy, paste. Oh, good day. Hello from Turkey. Hello from Australia. Welcome. But yeah, like look at anime rigs, and they're insane. Like they look like shit in the viewport. I don't even know how they animate with them properly, honestly, because it's kind of astonishing that they actually work. Oh, no problem. I'm happy to share my share what I know. It's been really fun so far, and I intend on going even further with some content soon. I was recording a video last night for a tutorial. I just didn't get. I was planning on publishing it last night, but I just didn't have the time to finish the recording. So I will be adding that hopefully tonight, along with some cool announcements. Because I think I am ready to put up a Patreon. So I'm going to put that up hopefully tonight for you guys to check out. So here we go. Yeah, it's almost like motion graphics. Yeah, that's the idea here. My background is in motion graphics in a way, so playing with the sort of same. The idea for me was really being able to. For me, it was really being able to emulate sort of almost like an After Effects style animation in Blender, but without having to deal with the limitations of doing an After Effects style animation. So that's it. That's the plan at least. So there we go. There's our blink. I think I might have to actually widen out this composition as well. I might go wider on the screen, go with an ultra wide. It's already ultra wide, but this is like a digital format. Unfortunately, the kid's face is obscured a little bit in this shot, but I kind of don't want to change where the pole is. So there's that. Yeah, that's definitely. I've always enjoyed doing character designs in Illustrator, and that's definitely where the place comes from for doing this style. This is definitely. It's very interesting that you bring that up, Kelly. Yeah, definitely in that ballpark. I actually designed the eyes originally in Illustrator. So originally, even as a grease pencil object, you can actually design the objects in Illustrator, bring them in as SVG files, convert them to grease pencil, and do it that way as well. So that would be cool. That's a cool little method as well. So if you want to just rely entirely on grease pencil objects for your animation in the future, you could technically do that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of mistimed blinks either. I noticed that myself. I'm still going to fix that up. So if we go there, let's fix up that timing. I don't know why it's duplicated there. There we go. Let's just get rid of that one. As for why... annoying. Let's grab these keyframes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy. Oh, I see. They're out of sync. That's why. By a few frames. So let's just delete that. Copy this. Paste that. As for why it's not keyframing, that's interesting. Copy that keyframe. Paste that keyframe. There we go. There we go. That's looking better already. The timing's a little bit different. That's the interesting thing about this. Copy, paste. There we go. Oh, just, yeah, go for it. Honestly, you can even make, like, I would say, one of the big things that even just now doing this animation here that I'm trying to avoid is just don't do any dialogue-driven animation yet. For your first film, just go with like action-driven or emotional-driven content. Next animation, I do plan on having voice acting in it for this this series, but this first one, I just needed to get something out, and yeah, definitely makes a big difference to not have to worry about it. So what I want to do here is with the kid's face is when she blinks is turn her head. Just turn her head. And I'm going to move that a little bit like so. And the problem is here already is I think there's gimbal lock. So if I look at there's gimbal lock here. So there's actually a trick you can do as long as you have Rigify open or installed is you can change the rotation order of your rig. You can see here that even just turning your head doesn't work with XYZ Euler. So I'm going to go ahead and change the convert the rotation modes here to I think it was ZXY. I want to have Y, at least Y last on the rotation order, so it's the first thing you move. So now, let's see. That worked. What? That's good. That's good. And then the last one is that one. Let's see. Let's open up gimbal. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, ZXY is fine. Can we use motion capture techniques in Blender instead of frame by frame? Of course you can. I do say, I mean, of course it's possible. My personal experience with motion capture in Blender is fairly limited. You can see what the gimbal lock is doing now. Jesus, let's change that animation completely. My experience with motion capture in Blender is limited, but it is powerful, but it's just still not nearly as robust as using Motionbuilder. And I've taught with Motionbuilder, and I can guarantee it, Motionbuilder is, well, basically it's one of the few instances where I could say that just out of pure lack of alternatives, it is the industry standard. So Autodesk Motionbuilder is very, very powerful, and it's much easier to do motion capture, or at least put in motion capture files into Motionbuilder, then export them out to Blender. Yeah, that's just my experience so far with that software. So I'm going to lift her head up. I don't want her to smile. I'm just getting her to look around as well. So she's looking around in her own way. She's not exactly the feature here, but as long as she's participating in that motion or in that action, it's enough. And I think that's a nice little look around sort of action going on there. I can also go ahead and rotate her upper chest. Motion capture still needs the software to make it run properly. As for, I've never, the Rococo shit, the stuff you see where a lot of these Twitch users use as well, I've never used them before. And I don't know how they work. So I don't know how they work so well, at least live. So yeah, I guess you can. I would pay if I had a need for it, I would definitely pay for it. But I don't think it's all that necessary to make short films. It's definitely an upfront cost that a lot of animators haven't needed in the past. So it just takes a little bit longer to do animation. And honestly, motion capture isn't the be-all and end-all. It doesn't make animation better. It just makes it faster. And in some cases, it makes it more difficult because you got to clean up that motion capture half the time. So there we go. So yeah, that's my 2 cents from that. But yeah, I definitely want to use motion capture for facial animation, at least to get the blocking done, because I'm lazy and I can't be fucked. Having to animate everything from scratch, it's tiresome. Even the reason I got into 3D animation was mainly because I was too lazy to draw every frame in 2D. And even now doing this, it's tiresome if you do it every day. It takes it out of you, kills your eyes. Motionbuilder is basically designed specifically for motion capture. So you can import files from different kind of motion capture files, formats, and then retarget it to any rig you like. So it's a really nice, easy way to retarget motion capture from one rig to another without you really having to think too much about it. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful. So yeah, if you ever, I'd say check it out. I mean, it is Autodesk and you got to pay for a subscription, but if you have a student account or if you can get a student license, I definitely recommend trying it out. I've been tempted to make a series on it, specifically using Motionbuilder with Blender, because I think it's if there's one point where like having both. Yeah, Face Rig, that's the plugin. We've talked about this in the in a previous stream. Face It for Blender, that's really good. So why don't I still give that a go? There we go. That's looking pretty cool. What I might do here is just turn her head again, give her a little bit of a pause, and then maybe have her look at the pole as well now. So, oops, wrong hand. Wrong one. Here, sorry. Yeah, definitely. There's always going to be some crossover in the skill set. And I'm very much there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, you don't need to know how to draw to do 3D. I'm like, that's true. But it definitely makes it fucking easier, man. Knowing how to draw makes it easier. Yeah, that's something that again, that's coming from my personal experience here. But that's just something I recommend. It's just practice drawing, practice composition. Like this, for instance, is a really pain in the ass, unfortunately. Oh yeah, 3D comics are really difficult to do right because they still look like they have a bit of depth to them. So yeah, I can understand why you want to go with this sort of flat design, Kelly. If you want to do 3D comics, I'd almost be tempted to learn how to do grease pencil rigs. I don't know how to make grease pencil rigs that well, but that could be something for you to explore if you really want to get into doing comics, but have the rigs be reused. That could be cool. Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Learning how to sculpt definitely helps you. Teaches you how to be a better life drawer, for instance. You know, it all kind of works together. So yeah, I'm just animating her head to push it together, like so. Just moving these things around, moving keyframes around. And just getting some motion into there, just to make sure that she's participating in the moment as well. And then when she moves her eyes, when she moves her head, she'll blink again. So I'll really use those animations. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for joining. Yeah, learning anatomy helps. I would say also learn to. Well, honestly, I would just. I don't like sculpting a human body from scratch. I would always use a base mesh. So I would learn how to make a base mesh first, like a basic one. I'd also look into buying some resources, buy some books, not necessarily about the actual software, but about sculpting. So there's a really good book called Anatomy for Sculptors, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it's really, really good. I would recommend getting a book like that to use as a reference. So here, when she turns her head, ultimately, I actually believe that you should always turn her eyes, make the eyes start to move first before the head turns, because it sort of indicates where the head's going to turn. See how much that makes a difference? It's really subtle. It makes a difference though. And then as the head's turning, it looks really creepy when there's no blink. So always make sure that there's a blink during a head turn, if it's strong enough to need it. So what I'm going to do here is just copy these keyframes. So So she turns, it looks a lot more natural. Good morning, dude. How you going? Thank you for joining. But yeah, really cool stuff in terms of there's so much stuff to learn out there, honestly, and I'm always learning these things as well. But having her move around as well, having her move around definitely adds a lot more life to this shot, even if it's partially obscured. Um, I do have to fix up this shot, part of the shot here. So what I actually plan on doing is having Evie, once realizing once realizing that the thing is unable to be opened up, or it's locked down or whatever, is actually pushing the girl through the bars to protect her from that wolf. Will you have some characters and rigs on Patreon? Absolutely. That's the plan. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Definitely. Very much so. That's a big one. How many years have I been studying this? 6 years. 6 or 7 years. If I don't count university. If I count university, 10 years. Shit. Yeah. So I started my degree in 2011, finished in 2013, got a job in 2014, and professionally I've been doing this for 7 years. But in terms of using Blender, it's been closer to 5 years ish. All right. So we're getting a lot more stuff going on there. So what I'm going to do is actually make her less cheerful at the moment. So I might just change her expression somewhat. She's got a natural smile on her face, so I need to kill that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just straighten that out a little bit. And this is also built with splines, somewhat built with splines as well. Actually, this one's a very unique build for the face rig, to be honest. This one's actually a lot more complicated to talk through. I would love to do a video on how to build the face like this, a face rig like this, because again, it's robust, but there's limitations. So that's why I didn't really put it in my tutorial series. Definitely easier to do face rigs with blend shapes. Might actually bring that down really like that. No worries, my pleasure. And just be remembered, the stuff that I do in Blender can easily be transferred over to other software. So if you have to learn how to use Maya, for instance, it's just a matter of understanding the UI paradigms. I mean, Maya is definitely a lot more complicated to use overall, in my opinion. But those fundamental things about topology, or like orientation, transforms, that sort of shit, it all translates over really, really obvious, often. Secrets of the Vectorverse will be on Patreon. I'm guessing that's referring to this style here. I think. But yeah, they will be. So yeah, let's. So what I want to do here is also have her open her mouth a little bit, just as she turns her head. Just a little bit. Actually, I might keep it closed. I don't think she needs to have her eyes open at the moment. I mean, her mouth open at the moment. But what I can do here is have her blink. When she blinks, her eyebrows drop as well. So there's always subtleties here. So right there, keyframe that. Go to here, just as she's blinking, just very slightly. Just have her eyebrows just drop as well with that motion. And then when they come back up, just reset those transforms. And you can see just a little bit of eyebrow movement goes a long way. It's just really subtle, but it definitely helps. Even if I wanted to take it to the next level, I would almost move the eyebrows in the direction of the eyes being sort of moved to. Oh man, like a lot of the color stuff that I'll be doing some stuff on in the future on compositing, especially for this one for the animation, um, and definitely we'll be talking about adding more vibrancy to these shots. Because when I was doing the thumbnails for the stream, I didn't do a thumbnail this morning, didn't have the time. I really liked the way that the colors were popping with the thumbnails, so I might actually integrate that into the animation in the end. Ah, cheers. So there we go. And now, I know it could be another video with the same scene. I know it's going to be ridiculous, but if you're keen, depending on if it's needed, would you be interested in seeing me do some grease pencil animation at the forefront here? Like in this case, water drops, like dripping from these, dripping from the bars here. That could be cool. There's also something to be aware of. That would you be able to jump in the vectory? Yeah, kind of. The vector style, I guess you can say, would be enhanced with the color scheme. Also using compositing layers and stuff like that to sort of emphasize certain things for sure. Actually, that's cool. Let's see what happens if I grab that. All right, cool. Have you seen Kipper and the Age of the Wonder Beasts? No, never even heard of it. Never even heard of it. I'm guessing that was made in grease pencil. All right, cool. I think I like this. It's actually kind of cool. Adding a little bit of camera movement. That would be, there we go. That makes it a lot easier for me to see, at least see the kid. But it does ruin a certain compositional thing to this. Grease pencil mixer 3D. Yep, that's what I do. The puddles are all grease pencil, by the way. All the puddles that you'll see in the background will be done in grease pencil. So this is looking a lot better. It might actually be worth doing it the opposite direction because I need that gap in that hallway, in that alleyway. I need to see that gap. So I might actually flip those keyframes. Unfortunately. Because what I plan on doing is a surprise. So I need to have those bars present, that's for sure. That being said, I could make the bars wider as well. Do you use any regular cameras, or do you use the camera rigs? I don't bother with camera rigs unless I need it. If I need to have a really smooth action, I'll just parent a camera to an empty or a null. And if you're familiar with After Effects, yeah, metaballs are cool for puddles. I would actually, if you want to go with 3D puddles, I would actually go ahead and say try using vector paint plus, yeah, use vector paint. Sorry, vertex painting. Vertex painting is mad with collisions, and it's really robust. It's really clean. It's really light on the resources as well, which is really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I might just slow down the camera a little bit here. just to keep that camera moving a little bit. Actually, let's go with this one. There we go. That looks cool. Yeah, this is why I probably will go. Actually, I might just show you how. Might go ahead and do that now. Is increase the aspect ratio a little bit over here, so make it wider. Let's see. Can I just change that? I can. Ultra wide HD TV. Not that one. Don't want that one. I want. Do we have any film stuff? Ultra wide. No, I don't. Might undo that. Yeah, it's really, really good. Let me just look up what ultra wide resolution is. Anamorphic. Pixel width. Let's go check something out. What is it? 2.5, 2.35 over 1. Give me the actual pixels, guys. Let's see. Fuck it, I'll do it later. It's fine. We've got 15 minutes to go, so I may as well go ahead and move it. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have a look. I'll have a squiz for sure. Oh man, I really want to change the width of these poles. It's pissing me off that I can't see her face. The only problem is it's going to change the way, the location of them. So let's see. It definitely makes a difference. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that and just move the poles back. It's ugly. How did you find out what you were individually best at with animation pipeline? I still don't know what I'm good at at this point. Honestly, yeah, it's difficult to say. I'm definitely not the best character animator. I don't think so. That's probably one of my biggest weaknesses, actually. Not sure. I think yeah, it's hard to say. That sucks. I'm going to say that I basically try and learn what I can for the moment. So if I need to learn how to do a certain thing for a project, I'll have to just buckle down and teach myself. Fuck, I'm just gonna leave it as is. I use a screen tablet at the moment. I use a XP Pen 24 Pro. 24 or 22? 22, I think it is. No, 24. 24. Yeah, it's just trial and error. Learning is just trial and error, honestly. And it's just repetitive trial and error. Learning new things, practicing new things, that sort of thing. So I'm pretty happy with what's going on with her face now. I might actually move on to the next part of this animation, which is her pulling that pole. Or trying to pull out the pole. Because right now it looks pretty horrible. And a bit repetitive. So I'll over here is I want to have a sort of clench down a bit harder. Yeah, the XP Pen I find is really good. I definitely recommend XP Pen over Wacom just for the price difference. And in terms of like accuracy or responsiveness, they're practically the same, bar a few minor driver issues. But Wacom still has driver issues in itself anyway. So for about a third of the price, you get the same sort of fucking thing. So XP Pen is good. No, I like the smoothness of the screen. I personally don't like the rough. I hate the rough roughness of Wacom screens or Wacom tablets. Like in my mind, if I'm going to be going to conspiracy mode, I actually have a belief that they actually purposely make it rough, not because they want to make it feel like paper, inverted commas. It's because they want you to wear down the nubs. It's like, I don't want to, it's, yeah, it's just fucked, man. They wear down so quickly, the nubs on Wacom tablets. Whereas with the XP pen, I've got a smooth screen. It's got a plastic veneer on it, but I don't find, like, I haven't replaced the nubs in a year. Like that's just a difference there, because you don't have that friction burning down the nubs of the screen. Yeah, because originally the earlier Wacoms never had that rough texture on the tablet. Yeah, for sure. And if as long as there's a bit of resistance on the film of the screen, in terms of just not being too slippery, I find that I'm happy to draw on it. I have no issue with that. The way that the screens are on the tablet. All right, so I've got a few minutes to go. So what I'm going to do is just have her change her emotion or change her expression here where I have a hold, and also just have her bend her body forward ever so slightly. I'm not sure which way to do it though. So when she goes to grab the pole, she rubs her hand down the side, and then I want her to tense up a little bit. So maybe just a little bit of a tilt in her body once she goes to it's really subtle. This is where it's really tricky for me to do. This is where I find my abilities to kind of be stretched, I guess you can say. What do I find most fun? Pre-production. Like, there's a reason probably why I spent so long just designing the characters. It's because it's enjoyable. Like doing that early sort of design stuff is really fun. I find texturing to be the least enjoyable. I enjoy rigging. I used to hate rigging. I love it. I love doing it now. Animation is fun, but it gets tiresome. Like, there's a reason why I've never worked at a larger studio. It's because I can't imagine doing the same fucking thing every day. I would get so bored. In terms of and just in terms of projects, like working at a smaller studio, you tend to work on different things throughout the year quite often. Projects can switch pretty easily throughout the month, so it gives you a lot of choice in terms of what to work on, and it's good to fun. I do it when I'm offline. I do say that offline, but I'm not going to say that online. No way. That's just that's a dumpster fire of if I very, very bad thing to do if I want to be monetized. I would if it was if I had a wider shot, I would actually show the legs being animated. I would actually reposition her legs a little bit. So even it's a little bit. Even that feels a little bit weird to me, like the way her head tilts. So I might just tilt it forward. How long to produce a 30-page comic in this style? Now that is a good question and something I can't really answer because I've never done a comic in 3D. It depends on the style of everything. So not just the characters, it depends on the backgrounds, it depends on the detail you want in like the props you want to make. A lot of that has to be taken into consideration. And that's where sketching really helps. So again, before jumping into 3D, I really suggest doing the hard work and really looking at style, looking at sketches, doing some concept art, and just figuring out exactly what you want to do. Yeah, it depends on your work ethic, depends on the speed of output, what you know, what you don't know. There's a lot of R&D involved, even if projects are similar in nature. Um, there's um, there's a lot of R&D involved, even in the simplest of things. Like half my job outside of teaching and outside of doing this YouTube stuff involves a lot of R&D, research development. Even if it's been established and known for a while, on a per project basis, you need to figure out what you can and can't do. Because even like, in the AR, especially in the AR space, different platforms have different limitations and stuff like that. So you need to figure out what those limitations are. Um, you know, what you can do within the paradigm of the platforms that you're going to be using, that sort of thing. So even this blink here, I'm going to bring those eyebrows down a little bit. I might bring them down further here as well, just to get her to scrunch up her face a little bit. When she blinks, comes up. Her eyebrows don't need to come up that high. So I'm going to keyframe here and then keyframe here. But yeah, I hope that answers your question in terms of just general, as a general answer. But yeah, that's my when she pulls her shoulder back, when she pulls and her shoulder goes back, would her head need to do a slight nod forward? Depends on how much overlap you want to do. So there is a little bit, but yeah, possibly. It depends on how much you want her to shake. If she's restrained, like really tense, you want to have less overlap. If you're going for that soft sort of, really sort of floaty, I guess it's not one called floaty, but that sort of Disney-esque style, I would have a lot more give in her head overlapping. Kind of don't like that her body's tilting to the side. I actually might remove that keyframe a little bit. Not a fan. And again, this is where like just trial and error comes into play. Even that looks a lot better. Yeah, that looks, even that, like just a little bit, just make it so small. What's your schedule at the moment? We'll be getting longer streams in the future. Right now, it's just these hours in the weekdays that I have time for. Whether I do weekend stuff, it really depends on my schedule. So, and what I'm, because I am married, so that means spending time with my wife is important as well. So weekends are important for that. I will be, if we have time, I'll probably do a weekend stream, and that could be like a several hours long. So it depends on what we have scheduled on those weekends. So if we're, on a Saturday, maybe I'll get up early and maybe do like maybe I can get away with doing a couple of hours on a weekend. And given that the lockdown will be ending in a few weeks, it might be a good idea to do it soon. do a long stream sooner rather than later, because I know we'll be going out a lot more on these weekends going forward for sure. Yeah, establishing anticipation. Exactly. I'm establishing the anticipation. So she's having to think about that movement. Again, even her eyes aren't quite connecting with where she's looking at the moment, so I'll have to sort of reconnect those eyes there. So I would actually pull that eye down to closer to her. Yeah, even that there, pulling those eyes down already looks like she's looking more at that. Ah, shit, moving the nose by accident. Looking at this at the where her hand is important as well. Subtle, but makes a difference. where she starts to move her eyes here, I'll probably end up, when she blinks, there's a blink, I'm going to keyframe here, keyframe there, move that keyframe back. I've only got a minute to go before I start the day, so I'll be having to wrap it up in a second, but there's a difference there. There we go. See that moment there where it's sort of like she's staying put there and then she moves to the left? I will go ahead and delete this keyframe, I think. So she actually is continuously moving. That looks so much better already. Holy shit, what a difference. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do there. All right, I think that's it for today. I want to say thank you for those watching today. It's been great. Thank you for the super chats again. Appreciate it. Plenty more to come. I'll be streaming again this Friday as well. So feel free to check in on that stream as well. Next couple of days, I'll also be uploading some cool stuff. No wiggle in the nose. No, exactly right. Be sure to check out the channel in the next couple of days, or even tonight, as I upload the next tutorial series, the first of a new tutorial series online. So yeah, until then, I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy the day, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.